Hello, hi, it is I, Psychobite. I have not posted in a few months properly. So much for weekly uploads. Procrastination issues aside, I want to make a video that's actually in the spirit of what this channel is supposed to be. That being analysis and video essays. If this counts as a video essay, I'm honestly not sure of the full definition of them. Now today, I'll be discussing gore in horror media and proper and wrong uses of it, along with quite a few examples. Mostly from the same author too. Yeah, it's starting to look like I chose this team so I can yap about Liam Vickers for like 15 minutes. Either way, let's get into it. Gore in horror media is obviously absolutely nothing new. In almost every single bit of horror media, there's gonna be at least a little bit of gore.
Just a smudge. Oh, dear God.
So, what is gore best used for in a horror story, or video game, or movie? In my opinion, the answer is that gore has a supporting role in horror. What I mean by that is that gore being used as the main source of quote-unquote fear is really bad. Some writers still try to make it the main part of their horror, and it just doesn't work. I think I heard Urban Spook being a pretty good example of this, but I never watched it, so I can't really speak. What I will use as Exhibit A is a horror story by Liam Vickers named Black Dogs. Black Dogs is a horror story published by Liam Vickers in 2017. Fuck, that was 8 years ago. Now, if you've already listened to Black Dogs, great. If you haven't, go do it. But if you just don't care enough, since the story is like 11 hours long, you can just stay, I guess. I'll give a summary. The basic premise is that the stick hound, a living result of an experiment, spreads a mind-controlling parasite through its saliva. This parasite allows the stick hound to control the already rotting corpses of the characters.
Yeah, you can probably already tell where this is going.
Meanwhile, the characters think they're going about their usual day, but they're just reliving and reenacting their last day alive over and over and over again. Now here's the thing. Even though the channel this story was posted on is named Scary Storytime with Liam, it really isn't scary, it's barely even horror, it's more of a mystery. Why, you might ask? Because describing the rotting corpses and gore of the characters is 95% of the horror. Please, don't get me wrong, I don't think Black Dogs is a bad story. In fact, I think it's a fantastic mystery with some very original ideas. It's just that it isn't a horror story. There is one scene in particular that I think is an exception though. After Hayes finally gets John to understand the whole reenacting the same day again and again thing, he goes down to the kitchen to continue doing his part, so the stick sound wouldn't notice they're no longer completely under control. However, he slips up by forgetting to eat the rotten egg, and Sylvia notices. She then basically tortures him to try to get him to slip up again, stabbing him in the throat with bone if I remember correctly. The thing that makes this scene different from the others is that it will be just as scary without the gore. And that makes it stand out in the midst of just, oh hey, this woman has guts spilling out. A lifelong friend torturing you to see if you're still under the control of a parasite while also sounding very sadistic is fucking horrifying, is it not? What tied it all together is Liam's quite impressive voice acting. So to sum it up, Black Dogs, amazing mystery, meh horror story, if a horror story at all. Now, I don't think the gore should be removed from the story or anything to make it better. The gore is a big part of the lore because they're dead, rotting corpses already. It's just that I don't think it deserves the horror label. Exhibit B. Design. Design is also a horror story written by Liam Vickers. Again, same spoilers warning. It's a very long and good audio story, but I know most people nowadays don't have the attention span for like 12 hours of just audio. The story is centered around left-hand parasites, which find a young host, kill them in their teens, and then control their corpses while also slowly getting their personality. You know, I'm noticing an odd pattern in Liam Vickers' stories and corpses being puppeteered. Anyway, so remember how I said Black Dog's horror label is sometimes being put into question? That's even more the case with Design. This isn't a horror story like it's labeled. This is a fucking shonen. Why? Well, of course, there's a fuckload of fights, but also gore is pretty much the only source of quote-unquote fear at all. What I mean by that is that if you remove all the very detailed descriptions of gore, this would never in 1,000 years be considered a horror story. Yet again, don't get me wrong, I love Design, I love the concept, but it's not a horror story. There is only one somewhat scary scene I can remember in particular, and so far, that scene is the only one I've seen manage to make gore the main source of fear, but doing it actually pretty well. The scene I'm talking about is the death of John's dad. Basically, Kaylee recognizes his dad as one of the researchers at the facility, then tortures him in the most horrific ways you can imagine, then when he's dead, wraps her chains around his heart and manually forces it to beat just so she can beat his ass more.
Okay, seriously, Leon, what the fuck is going on in the head of yours?
If that's not horrifyingly creative, I don't know what is. But that is the only exception. As a horror story, Design sucks. Gore and shock value is so overused that it makes you go, okay, we get it. I will reiterate once again, I don't think Design is a bad story overall. Same goes for Black Dogs, especially Black Dogs. Black Dogs is amazing actually.
Please don't mind me glazing William's work for a second.
But they simply don't work as a scary story. Though there is a horror story by Liam Vickers that uses gore exceptionally well in my opinion. It uses it in a way that's obvious enough to be noticed, but also subtle enough so it's not overused. And lastly, of course, it's not the main subject that's supposed to invoke fear. That story, or well, animated show, is of course Murder Drones.
Pretty sure I already made this clear with the guy who watched Murder Drones over 150 times, rates the episode, or puts them on a tier list, whatever. But I am a huge fanboy for this show. I love Murder Drones. It's a fucking masterpiece in my mind. So, of course, I will take absolutely any goddamn opportunity to talk about it, and you can't stop me. Murder Drones is mostly a comedy show. Now, you may think comedy and horror don't go well together, and you'd be very correct, but hear me out, they actually pull it off pretty goddamn well. I could definitely yap it about Murder Drones and its horror for like an hour, maybe, but I will keep this short to one scene because I've done the same with yellow halogen and design. And that scene is the one in episode 7 near the beginning. Alright, let's dissect this thing. So, let's see what objects we have. We have the scientist with an arm cut off, and then the holograms. Why is the arm cut off and the blood a good thing here? Well, it's simple. All around during the scene, everything seems fine because of, well, the holograms. But you can see the realization in the intern's eyes, even if he has a visor. You can see the realization that something is goddamn wrong here. I'll be completely honest, during my first watch, I didn't even realize her arm was cut off. I just thought she was hiding. Again, just like all the other good scenes I've covered in this video, the gore isn't the main subject of the horror. It's the realization that something is wrong, something is out of place, and you're gonna die. The gore later in the scene, where all the flesh is scattered around and everyone is dead and the walls are covered in flesh and there's the flesh hole. I shouldn't have said that. It's not used for horror. It's there to show and not tell. To show you that everyone is dead there and that this thing is fucking dangerous. Like, the cut off arm, it's not over the top. It does its job and that's it. It's not there to overdo it. It's not there to show blood fucking everywhere. It's there to do one job, and it does it very well. I'm gonna end the murder drone section there because I have a lot to say about that show. That's gonna have its own video one day when I have the motivation. Also, one thing I like to add, because I actually love the trope for some reason, is the common rule among media is that if whatever horrible, gory things you decide to do to a living thing, if it's a robot, you're perfectly okay. I mean, this is just fucking fun. Look at murder drones, look at Transformers beavers. I'm like 93% sure the only reason murder drones is about robots is because Liam had to follow YouTube guidelines. I will now bring up Mortal Kombat. Because yes, Mortal Kombat in a video mostly about horror. You might know why I'm bringing it up though. Mortal Kombat is infamous for its amount of gore. And that doesn't make it a fucking horror game, does it? The gore here is to make it seem like the special moves are making a bigger impact, to show you the true effects of it on the opponent's body. Especially the fatalities, obviously. I mean, look at this shit.
Vroom vroom. And boom.
Fatality. Johnny Cage wins.
That motherfucker is dead and buried. And it makes goddamn sure you understand that. And that's the correct way to use gore outside of horror media. I think that's gonna be about it for this video. I would like to reinstate that I am not a professional by any means. This is how I view it, and I may or may not be the best at expressing my thoughts. Like, maybe I said something and I actually meant something else, but I'm an absolute fucking idiot, which I am. But yeah, in conclusion, gore and shock value are not good for the primary subject of horror. That'll be it for today. Hopefully I finish editing this video by by May. Hopefully, future me, I fucking hope you uploaded this before May. I swear to God. So yeah, bye.